Okay. At least 1,000 people gathered on the South Lawn this morning to hear Vice President Kamala Harris deliver her first official speech since she announced her intent to seek the Democratic nomination following President Biden's announcement yesterday that it was withdrawing his Democratic ticket and will not seek a second term. It was an historic announcement with consequential implication for not just for the U.S. but also for the international community, as leaders around the world pay closer attention and watching the U.S. presidential election this year. US, of course, is known as the leader of the international community, and during President Biden's time in office, he has made consensual efforts to bring the international community together. In fact, earlier this month, last week, 2 weeks ago, the US President Biden hosted the NATO leaders, the 32 NATO leaders in Washington D.C. for the 75th, celebrating the 75th anniversary, as well as the summit where they talk about the various international issues, the threats from Russia and China, and their support, how to support Ukraine in its fight for freedom, for its freedom, as well as defend itself against Russia aggression. The vice president, back to the event today, opened her remarks by giving updates on the president's health, telling the audience that the president is recovering well and recovering fast from COVID. As we know, the president stepped off the campaign trail when he was diagnosed mid last week, when he was in Las Vegas with COVID. And since then, he has been recuperating in his home in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, where he continued to stay and recover. The First Lady is there with him. So in our remark, the Vice President followed that update by praising the President's accomplishment and describing it is unmatched in modern history. Joe Biden's accomplishment in one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He's feeling much better and recovering fast, and he looks forward to getting back on the road. And I wanted to say a few words about our president. Joe Biden's legacy of accomplishment over the past 3 years is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already, yes, you may clap. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who have served 2 terms in office. And I first came to know President Biden through his son, Beau. We worked together as attorneys general in our states, and back then, Beau would often tell me stories about his dad. He would talk about the kind of father and the kind of man that Joe Biden is. The qualities that Beau revered in his father are the same qualities that I have seen every day in our president. His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big heart, and his love, deep love of our country. And I am firsthand witness that every day our President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation. So with that, on behalf of our President and Dr. Biden, I am honored to welcome all of you to the White House to celebrate the achievements of these great athletes.
The Vice President then turned our attention to the events of today in honoring the NCAA champions that were present at the White House on the South Lawn. The event took place on the South Lawn. The event was originally scheduled to be at 9 by the president, but since he's recovering from COVID, the vice president took his place today to honor those champions. Some of them will also be participating, representing the U.S. at the Olympics, the upcoming Olympics that will kick off later on this month. The First Lady is leading the delegation to the Olympics, and the second gentleman we also attend the event, the closing event of the Olympic in August. The Vice President this afternoon will be traveling to Wilmington, Delaware to meet with her campaign staff. Since President Biden announced yesterday that he was stepping aside, the campaign is now changed its title to Harris for President. They've already changed the logo, and Vice President will be meeting with the campaign team today, and later on this week, I believe she will also be on the campaign trail. She will be traveling to Wisconsin, to Milwaukee, sometimes later this week. It has been a very consequential, historic week. Earlier this month, for the past 2 weeks actually, last week, there was an attempted assassination, as our audience know, on former President Donald Trump. And yesterday, the president announced that he was stepping aside and endorsed the vice president. Since he endorsed the vice president, several other endorsements have came in from top Democrats, from Capitol Hill to governor. The governor of Chicago formally endorsed the vice president. The governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, also endorsed the vice president, as well as top Democrats representative and some of our colleagues on the Senate also, including New York Senator Gillibrand, have also endorsed the vice president. Former President Bill Clinton and the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton both also endorsed the vice president for nomination for the Democratic ticket. The vice president, if you win the nomination next month at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, she will be the first Black Asian woman to hold that ticket to become the president of the, and if she's elected, she will be the first Black Asian woman to be the president of the United States. As we know, in 2016, the former First Lady and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton ran for office was the candidate that was nominated for the DNC ticket, and she ran against Donald Trump. She lost. There is so much interest in Vice President Kamala Harris' nomination. The whole world is paying closer attention to what is going on in the U.S. with so much interest. He's already set so many historic records, so many first historic records, including being the first Black female Black Asia female vice president. So we will be providing more updates throughout this